Welcome back to MedTech's Biomed Empire State Focus. As this week, we're casting a spotlight on life science innovators in the Rochester and Finger Lakes region. I'm pleased to welcome to today's conversation Jean-Philippe Couder, the founder and CEO of VPG Medical. Jean-Philippe, it's nice to have you here. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, and it's a pleasure to be here.
So, Jean-Philippe, I'm hoping we can start this conversation in the way that we typically have started our conversations with innovators. Tell us a bit about the problem that you had identified and set out to solve.
Yes, absolutely. So we actually developed monitoring technologies at VPG Medical. I'll tell you a little bit more in details later, but really the problem we have been tackling so far is the monitoring of patients that have a specific cardiac disease, which is called atrial fibrillation. We call it also AF or AFib. You may know about it under the acronym AFib, which means atrial fibrillation, obviously. And these kind of patients have these cardiac diseases. There's no good cure for this disease. When you get it, you usually get it for the rest of your life. And what you need to do is really monitor your heart all the time to make sure that this problem, which is an electrical abnormalities of the heart, is not currently occurring. So this is a very interesting disease in a sense that you get it, the physician can give you a treatment to stop it. So this kind of electrical abnormalities, we call it also electrical storm in the upper chambers of the heart. When it happens, you need to stop it because it increases your risk of having a stroke and to fatigue your heart and lead to heart failure and other very bad diseases, I would say. So in a sense, it is important for a patient to be able to know at any time if their heart is functioning normally and this AFib is not present. This is a huge problem, okay? It is expected that by 2050, around 11 million people will be diagnosed with AFib. Currently, there's around 500,000 new cases every year just in the United States. So this is a huge, huge healthcare issue. This is due to the fact that really the population is aging and other obviously factors such as diet and exercise and obesity. And there are many factors that actually contribute to the development of this disease. I'm sure you may have heard about AFib because of what Apple did, okay? And if you know the smartwatch, the Apple Watch, there is now the possibility of detecting AFib by touching the watch, taking an ECG, and the watch tells you that you have AFib. There are other solutions that are quite interesting, very techy solution, I would say. But all these solutions actually requires that you purchase a device. Usually a device that can be very expensive, such as an Apple smartwatch, or devices that are not very easy to use. And I'm here thinking about these devices. You touch them with your finger, you can take an ECG, and the device tells you if you have AFib. What we develop is actually solution that do not require the patients to buy any new devices. So we don't have a dedicated devices. We use simply the video camera that are present in any device that you use now every day, meaning your smartphone, your tablet, your laptop, your desktop computer. Obviously, today you spend hours every day in front of the screen and you have a camera looking at you that usually you don't use when you don't do video cameras, selfies, and other activities. Most of the time it is unused. So with our technology, what we do, we leverage this time, this on-screen time that is estimated to around 4 hours for the average American. And we capture information from the face of the user of the device, and we are able to detect whether the patient is currently having AFib. So this is a very unique technology. This is actually a new paradigm for cardiac monitoring. So far, you had to put electrodes on your torso, you had to have these devices, you had to maintain charge, all this equipment every day to be monitored. This is not the case with the solution we've developed, since it's just a software that you download, you install on your devices. It's working in the background, so you don't need to do anything. You don't need to do recording. You don't need to think about it. It is just monitoring you passively in the background when you spend time on these screens.
So you have me fascinated. I think many in our audience, when they think of life sciences, think of pharmaceuticals, think of medical devices. In fact, you've really come up with a solution that moves even beyond medical devices, right? It's a software-based solution. Tell me, Jean-Philippe, give me a bit about your background. What brings you to this space today?
Yes, I'm sure you've noticed I don't have the classical upstate New York accent. I came actually in New York in 1997 to work at the University of Rochester at the medical center, where I studied an academic career as an assistant professor, and really started with actually a postdoc for a couple of years, and then got access to an assistant professor. I started my entrepreneurship voyage, I would say, with the first company called iCardiac Technologies, which licensed the technology I've developed at University of Rochester, and did provide service for international pharmaceutical companies in terms of cardiotoxicity assessment. The company was located in Rochester and was sold only a few years ago to the main competitors. And after this experience, I really truly enjoy entrepreneurship and the startup world, especially in Rochester. So I decided to go forward with a second company, and obviously VPG Medical, that also is a company licensing technologies from University of Rochester and coming from the laboratory where I was working on this technology for almost 10 years, but also licensing a piece of the technology from the Rochester Institute of Technology. So we can really say that VPG Medical is a fruit of all the good research and development that are done in Rochester in these two outstanding institutions that are University of Rochester and Rochester Institute of Technology. So I basically have today an appointment as a professor of medicine at the University of Rochester Medical Center, but I'm working with the university and with the company, and currently full-time for the company, developing further the technology developed in this institution for a commercialization and for making sure that it's not only an idea, an invention, but also it is a product that ultimately is in the hands of patients and helping people.
So tell me, while we're talking about the company, your commercial ventures, as you look down your horizon over the next year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, what's your vision for VPG Medical, or perhaps in a broader sense, what's your vision for healthcare innovation in your space?
Yes, that's a very good question, Win. So one of the things that I think is very important to understand, and if you are in this field, you have heard already that today in the US and in the world in general, the healthcare system is reactive, right? The healthcare system is going to take care of you once you have symptoms, once you are sick, okay? And very often it's too late, in a sense. And you have to go through a lot of treatment, and sometimes very heavy and difficult treatment that may save you or help you, but in a sense, this is a little bit late. And today, with all this technology that is developed, we have, I believe, the possibility of switching the healthcare system of being reactive to being predictive. Okay? And really, the idea is that by distributing these monitoring technologies that capture data from you all the time about your heart rate, about your respiratory rate, about all your vital signs, will be able in the future to really develop very accurate predicting models that will help you every day in changing, adapting your behavior by listening to your body, by listening to your vitals, by knowing what's happening in your body and making the good choice every day and being more aware of what's happening in your body. Your heart beats 120,000 times every day. Are you
You know,
aware of that? I mean, yeah. Go ahead,
you know,
please.
it's fascinating to me as we've been having these conversations, and I think this is particularly true with you and some of the other innovators in this region of upstate New York. There's a real theme of patient empowerment through the harnessing of knowledge and transmitting of that information. And I'm curious to know if you have some thoughts. Kind of, is there something in the water in Rochester that brings people to patient empowerment, or is that more generally where you think medical care is headed in the future?
Well, I believe it's one of the hope for digital health and what one would call remote monitoring, right? I mean, what this technology is doing, and you're right, it's very true in Rochester, in our region, because there's a lot of R&D done at multiple and different academic institution, and they play a fundamental role. But it's not a Rochester-based effect, I would say. It's present all over the US and all over the world in countries that are involved in developing such technologies. The fact that today we can do at home what was not even sometimes possible in the hospital a couple of decades ago is so empowering, right? When you think about it, we have the ability to capture and collect this data. We didn't have this data before. We have the ability to store and centralize this data. And we have now tools with artificial intelligence, machine learning, to be able to process this huge amount of information and extract value from it. That's a combination of things that is very unique to our time, in a sense. And obviously, digital information has been very important in raising the power of AI and machine learning. But it's what we are saying now. I mean, with more technology, FDA cleared that are embedding this kind of tech of intelligence, I would say, artificial intelligence, and saying that it can not always, be better than human. It's in general not always the case, but at least help humans being more efficient at what they are doing. Okay, and in a sense, that's actually what we can witness, and I believe it's what we're going to really see in the future: the ability to gather information, a lot of information that today we can't even think about, every day, on every people, on every individual, and being able to see when something is wrong, when something could be adjusted, and being able not to alarm, but to notify actually the people about their behavior, the impact on their behavior, and educate them about how the way they behave, what they do impact their life expectancy and impact their health status, in a sense. So coming back to your question, yes, you're right. This is exactly where we're going. We are not there today. There are a couple of, I would say, example of technology that have helped, but we are just at the inception of this concept. This is just the beginning, and it's very exciting to be part of this type of work.
And in the few seconds that we have left, since you've identified that your accent is not necessarily a Rochester-related accent, many of our innovators come from other parts of the country. Many of them are natives to upstate New York. Given your experience in other parts of the globe, is there something that's been helpful in this region that's been important to VPG Medical, or been of some assistance as you've grown the company?
I mean, obviously, as I said a little bit earlier, what was quite important is the resources that one can get from academia and from RIT. The co-op program is just fantastic for startup companies. I mean, every year we have a co-op student. It's usually extremely bright students that are extremely committed to good work and hardworking individuals. This is just incredible. The University of Rochester, when you are in the biomedical field, has an incredible population of experts in many medical fields. That's also so important. We are now looking at some wellness application with our technology. We were able to speak to the chief wellness officer at UofA, who is a person with amazing experience in developing wellness program in organization. And those things are available, and these people are very, very truly happy to talk to young companies in our community, and we get a lot of very interesting help from these two organizations. For startup, for resources, for financing your ideas and invention, there are also amazing organizations. I cannot quote them all, but Next Corps, Luminate, we were one of the companies who won the second prize in the second cohort. It was very helpful to the development of the company. Launch New York in Buffalo is also an organization that is very active and helped us a lot. And frankly, and MedTech also, obviously, your organization, your webinar and your meeting, I did attend many times, and always a very, very good experience in this event, meeting the overall network of entrepreneurs in our region. So there's clearly a very active, vivid, I would say, community and ecosystem, I would say, in our region that has played a significant role in making VPG Medical what it is today, and really helping us going forward, developing our product, and today submitting to FDA. I'm excited about that because we just submitted a couple of weeks ago our technology to FDA for clearance. And without all this organization, this help we found, this wouldn't have happened for sure.
Well, Jean-Philippe, I'm afraid we're out of time. This has been a fascinating conversation. We'll look forward to some positive news on the short-term horizon from FDA. For folks who are interested in learning more or connecting with VPG Medical, you can find them at vpgmedical.com. Again, Jean-Philippe Couder, CEO, thank you very much for spending some time with us. This has been our pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Win. That was great. Really enjoyed.